little dreamers, lift up your hand, take my hand and walk with me a while. Well, before I start singing, because I love singing, today I wanted to talk about, dreaming. I'm a dreamer, and I've constantly told you on the show that it's always good to dream as long as you work on your dreams and make them reality. Today on the show, I have one of the biggest dreamer the world has ever got to know. Through his dreams, the face of the African community was changed entirely. Here is Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr., born 4th April 1968, was born Michael Luther King Jr., but later his name was changed to Martin. His grandfather began the family's long tenure as pastors of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, serving from 1914 to 1931. His father has served from then until the present, and from 1960 until his death, Martin Luther King acted as the co-pastor. Martin Luther King attended segregated public schools in Georgia. Graduating from high school at the age of 15, he received a bachelor's degree in 1948 from Morehouse College, a distinguished Negro institution of Atlanta from which both his parents and grandfather had graduated. After 3 years of theological study at the Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, where he was elected president of the predominantly white senior class, he was awarded the bachelor's degree in 1951. With fellowship won at the Crozer, he enrolled in graduate studies at the Boston University, completing his residence for the doctorate in 1953 and receiving the degree in 1955. In Boston, he met and married Coretta Scott, a young woman of uncommon intellectual and artistic attainments. 2 sons and 2 daughters were born into the family. In 1954, Martin Luther King became the pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama. Always a strong worker for the civil rights of members of his race, King was, by this time, a member of the executive committee of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the leading organization of its kind in the nation. He was ready, then early in December 1955, to accept the leadership of the first great Negro nonviolent demonstration of the contemporary times in the United States, the bus boycott described by Ganajan in his presentation speech in honor of the laureate. The boycott lasted 382 days. On December 21st, 1956, after the Supreme Court of the United States had declared unconstitutional the laws requiring segregation on buses, Negroes and whites rode the buses as equals. During these days of the boycott, King was arrested. His home was bombed. He was subjected to personal abuse, but at the same time, he emerged as a Negro leader of the first rank. In 1957, he was elected president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, an organization formed to provide new leadership for the new beginning civil rights movement. The ideas of this organization he took from Christianity, its operational techniques from Gandhi. In the 11th year period between 1957 and 1968, King traveled over 6 million miles and spoke over 2,500 times, appearing wherever there was injustice, protest, and action, and meanwhile, he wrote 5 books as well as numerous articles. In these years, he led a massive protest in Birmingham, Alabama, that caught the attention of the entire world, providing what he called a coalition of conscience. And inspiring his letter from the Birmingham jail, a manifesto of the Negro Revolution, he planned the drives in Alabama for the registration of Negroes as voters.
Think of love as, in this context, as emotional bosh. I don't think of it as a weak force. But I think of love as something strong and that organizes itself into powerful direct action.
He directed the peaceful march on Washington, D.C. of 250,000 people to whom he delivered his address, "I Have a Dream." He conferred with President J.F. Kennedy and campaigned for President Lyndon B. Johnson. He was arrested upwards of 25 times and assaulted at least 4 times. He was also awarded in the same time an honorary degree, which was named Man of the Year by Time magazine. In the spring of 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. organized a demonstration in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. Entire families attended, but city police turned dogs and fire horses on demonstrations. Martin Luther King was jailed along with a large number of his supporters, but the event drew more nationwide attention. Martin Luther King was personally criticized by the black and white clergy alike for taking risks and endearing children who attended the demonstration. From jail in Birmingham, Martin Luther King eloquently spelled out his theory on nonviolence, saying, "Nonviolent direct action seeks to create such a crisis and foster such a tension that a community which has constantly refused to negotiate is forced to confront the issue."
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
By the end of the Birmingham campaign, Martin Luther King Jr. and his supporters were making plans for a massive demonstration on the nation's capital composed of multiple organizations, all seeking for a peaceful change. August 28, 1963, the historic march on the Washington drew more than 2,000 people in the shadow of the Lincoln Memorial. It was here that Martin Luther King Jr. made his famous speech, "I Have a Dream" speech, emphasizing his belief that someday all men could be brothers. Notified of his selection, he announced that he would turn over the prize money of $54 to the furtherance of the civil rights movement. On the evening of April 4th, 1968, while standing on the balcony of his motel room in Memphis, Tennessee, where he was to lead a protest march in sympathy while striking garbage workers of that city, he was assassinated. And that was the end or the life of Martin Luther King Jr. Today, the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. lives on, and it's clear that he will never be forgotten. I have a dream. You have a dream. Everyone has a dream. If you believe, you can achieve. I will constantly remind you to dream, daydream, night dream until your dreams become reality. And remember, love is the only force capable of turning an enemy into a friend. If you have an enemy, so-called enemy, work on loving them, and at the end of the day, I guarantee you they will become friends. Till next time, I'm Sheila, and bye.